Man, I had it before, the fucking video cut out.
Dude, I'm definitely starting this one off.
Yeah. Why don't I mention the theme, because I think you can be better at just explaining the basic pipeline thing.
Alright, off you go.
Okay, cool. Hey guys, Tim and Rashan here again. So Tim and I misspeaking, I mentioned in the last video as well, we wanted to go through, filling your pipeline. Tim's actually in a role where this happens very often. It's very crucial to the role and the new business that you're going to get as to how this occurs. So I guess, we'll go through a bit of what that looks like.
Yeah, so as a broker, if you don't have a number of customers that are prospective customers, so people that you've met that might not be ready to buy today, but might be ready to buy in a couple of months from now, it could be weeks, it could be months, it could even be 12 months. If you don't have that sourced, so we call this your pipeline, if you don't have that sourced, and if you don't work on that every day, if you don't put a bit of time aside to do that every day, then what we find in our business is that you have ups and downs. So you'll be servicing a lot of customers in the near future if you don't work on your pipeline, and then you'll have gaps further away where you've got no work. So you wake up one morning and you're just like, oh, what am I supposed to do today?
It's not consistent, that's the consistency.
That's right. So what we're trying to do, like a lot of salespeople, like if you could look at your income, it's going to be like that. It's going to be like that. But what you want to do is you want to flatten it out. And the way to do that is to have your pipeline constantly filled. So a friend of mine that when I started broking, he was in a sales role before. For him, he drew out a graph for me. He said, Tim, your pipeline is like a funnel, right? So you've got lots of leads. Just imagine you're sprinkling them in the top and they go into this funnel. And then the ones that are qualified, the ones that can buy, will eventually come out the bottom. What's interesting though is there's a statistic going around, and I'm not sure how accurate this is, but it seems like it's kind of spot on. It's 95% of the people that you meet and speak to and who know what you do are not qualified and are not ready to buy it today. But that doesn't mean that one day in the future they won't become qualified buyers, or they might know someone who is a qualified buyer and pass that on. So as a salesperson and as someone who needs to constantly fuel their pipeline, a key day-to-day activity is making the cold calls, which we talked about on a previous video. Making those connections, sending out your documents that customers can fill in and send back so that you can pre-qualify them and get them ready to move towards the application process and all that sort of thing. As I said, if you don't do that work consistently every day, then you'll have inconsistencies in your paycheck. So if you want a consistent paycheck, you have to have a consistent pipeline. So your pipeline, in a sentence, is customers that are not ready to buy today but are moving through your sales process. They're people you've made connections with, they know who you are, they know what you do, they might somewhat trust you, you can sell them in the future. So that's what your pipeline is.
Yeah, I think that's good as well. So one thing that you mentioned just then was your sales process. So one thing that I believe in really heavily is you're in control of the outcome. That's quite a hard thing to think about in a way, because other people's attitudes or their actions are uncontrollable to you. However, you can really control how you approach them and what you do to move across that from the beginning to the end.
Yeah. So that's exactly right. So the things that I think what you're talking about would be making your phone calls, setting up appointments. I know a lot of people in sales pre-qualify customers. What are your thoughts on pre-qualifying people?
Yeah, so I tend to do it. So what I'll do, for example, my job is I'll look through sales analysis. So for example, if I'm seeing a surgeon or another customer, I can look through and see what sort of drivers do they have, what sort of business are they doing, what sort of motivators do they have, and then from there I can kind of decide and put them in a priority list as to where I want to call on them, or even meet them, and you can kind of tailor and target the conversations that you have with those people as well.
Exactly right. But keep in mind, the important thing there is that they're in a priority list. So it's not that just because they're not qualified today doesn't mean they'll never be qualified. It just means that there's an order in which you approach them, because some people are more ready than others. But it's like Roshan and I, when we first started this channel, when we released our first video, one of the key things that we said is central to sales is building a good relationship with your customers. And if you come across as the sort of person that doesn't really care, or if you pre-qualify someone and you sort of just hang up the phone, you're like, huh, you know, there's no way they're going to be getting a home loan. They haven't got 2 cents to rub together. If you take that approach, then you're going to find that your pipeline will never be filled.
That's funny. I actually had a friend in high school, and we were in our school clothes.
Tell us the story, man.
I'll tell you the story, man.
Tell us the story.
Exactly what the story is. We walked into Hugo Boss, and this guy's got a lot of money, but we were in our school clothes, so the guys who were working there didn't actually approach us.
The shop assistant.
They just didn't approach us, right? So looking at us going,
turned his nose up.
Stupid freaking school kids in this shop. Didn't even open the door for us as well. So I walked in. My friend actually had $5,000 cash in his bag. The suit he was looking at, and he asked to try it on. And the guy actually said to us, he said, to be honest, mate, I don't think this is kind of in your price range. So he waved the $5,000 cash, and then we walked out. But you know, it goes to show that you need to be really analytical with your customers to know if they're, you know, if they are, you know, okay to do business with or not.
Yeah.
And you need to make factual decision as to what you know, what you're going to do with these customers next.
Yeah.
So don't judge, don't assume. That's probably the main thing. I think don't assume.
That's right. And having good manners. I mean, even if you know, it would be easy to look at a school kid and be like, nah, it's a waste of time. But it's still it's unprofessional not to have good manners, regardless of what the situation is. So
please and thank you.
Please and thank you. Please and thank you. Small things make a big difference. Okay, so filling your pipeline. So obviously there's going to be like the friendlies, people that you already know. So there's different circles. So you've got your family, you've got your friends, you've got people that you've already met, and these people know and trust you. So it's more or less an easy sell. But in terms of your pipeline, they're probably the first ones that you want to approach. You tell them what you do. You tell them how you can help them. And if you're new to industry, for example, when I started out mortgage broking, one of my first customers was my sister and her husband, and they were willing to allow me to take the time that I needed to do the job properly. And because of that, it gave me the confidence to then go and meet strangers, people that I'd never met before, and you know, provide them with a similar service that I'd learned by first doing it with someone that I knew. Okay, so once you've gotten past your friends and family, this is where most salespeople get disheartened from their jobs. And I especially see this a lot speaking to a lot of the mortgage brokers that did the course to become a mortgage broker with me. Once they run out of acquaintances to write loans for, they were like, oh, who next? And you know, if the company you work for doesn't provide leads, or if you haven't started setting up a referral basis, and that's something we'll talk about in another video, then you quickly find that you've got no business to do. You wake up in the morning, you just jump straight into the video games or onto Pokemon Go, and you've got nothing.
Pokemon Go. You and Pikachu are going having a home cooked meal.
It's just you and Pikachu. You're not going to write a home loan for Pikachu. So
unless you're a good salesman, then you will.
Yeah, that's right. So okay, so you've got, let's call your friends and family, they're the friendlies, right? Then you've got, for those of you who have had a little more tenure in the business, you've got sold customers. So if you've, and this is important in your business, I know if you've already sold to a particular hospital, what does your process look like from them? Do you just forget and leave them and move on to the next customer, or?
No, and that's the thing about, you know, what I said in that last video about you know, that quarterly strategy is you need to be very transparent with your accounts, because if you you know, that's organic growth versus new business. If you forget about the ones that you had business with, you know, you're forgetting about the referrals. It's a small industry too, you know, with the industries that you're in, people know people, and you know, you need to act as if that you know, that retention target is actually like a new business target, because there's still opportunities in every account.
That's right. That's exactly right. And this is a key point. Unsold customers are in your pipeline. So if you spoke to someone, and let me give you an example. Say I have a customer who's come to me for a home loan. I haven't been able to write a loan for them because their situation's a little bit complex. Sometimes what I do is I refer them direct to a bank, because sometimes the banks themselves have a little more ability to potentially grease the wheels and get the more difficult loans through. Now, I've built trust with that customer, because even though I couldn't personally help him, I still gave him valuable advice as to how to maybe structure his loan. and he's just taken that and gone direct to a competitor. He's an unsold customer, but a customer nonetheless. You know, he's in my CRM, he's in my database, he's still in my pipeline, because 6 months to 12 months later, maybe he wants to buy another property, maybe his situation's changed and there's something we can do. If you don't keep touch with these people, it's money down the drain.
Get that other bit though anyway.
Said some technical difficulties.
Cool. Alright. Yeah, so guys, what I do in my role is as a BDM is, after you've qualified the people that you want to go, have those sales messages with or have those conversations with, I've got an Excel spreadsheet which has the names and the contact details, and you can go one step further. So every customer that you can have some dot points next to them with the messages and the targeted messaging as to what you want to say to them. So, for example, if I see Dr. X, I might want to talk to him about a certain product. I might want to talk to him about, just something casual. He went on a trip, so I've got that documented in my notes. That way, at least I know what I'm going to say to him. To not only move the sales process forward, but to build the relationship as well. I think keep tabs on your customers, because if you do that, it actually shows that you care, and people want to work with people who they get that sort of emotional vibe with, and you won't get that unless you are building that relationship. I think it's one thing that I definitely do.
Build that relationship.
Yeah.
Dr. X.
Dr. X, Dr. Y, Dr. Z.
Alright, so for me, these are some specific things that I do, and one of the things related to social media, what I'm going to do in a later video is I'll screencast my computer and show exactly what I do to generate leads online. But basically, LinkedIn has a sales platform which everyone's got access to if you're willing to pay for that per month. You can connect to new people on LinkedIn. You might do, for example, and I've done this as well, you can send out blasts to different professions offering your services, and if you put a good hook in there, you might get a couple of leads back doing that. So there's filling your pipeline. What I'm referring to now is online generation of leads. So it could be LinkedIn, it could be Facebook, it could be a YouTube channel like this. One of you people out there might need a refinance.
You're pointing in the wrong direction. You got to point at the camera, dude.
Right there. When you guys say things like YouTube, anything that gets your name out. So sometimes I walk into random cafes and leave my business cards there. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't gotten anything back from doing that, but you never know, your name is out there. So I might meet someone one day who's picked up my card randomly. So
that was cool, right? Because you said one of the days you said I met a guy. So Tim heard a guy speaking to him about home loans or something on the phone, and so you turned around and had a chat with him, right? So it was almost like a target that you had.
Yeah, so that wasn't a specific activity, but basically I was on the train and there was a guy behind me. He was talking about properties, so I was like, my ears pricked out.
They already freaked out.
They pricked out. I was like, oh, there's a potential lead here, and I jumped straight on it. We got to talking. I got his number, and we've had a conversation since. That phone number there.
It's overseas.
Definitely not picking that up.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Man.
Oh, the train thing.
Oh yeah, let me just restart this again. Oh no, I won't. I'll just keep going. Okay, so other things that I do. So we've had online lead generation. I go to open houses with some real estate agents and I speak to customers direct, and that's another way that I fill my pipeline. So that's face to face. Depending on what your business is, your business may generate its own leads through its advertising that it does, and that's another source. Having a website landing page is another way to continue to fill your pipeline. And one of the most potent ways, and a lot of people don't like doing this, and again, Roshan and I spoke about this in a previous video, cold calling. So most industries that are in sales have lists and databases of people that have at one point or another made an inquiry, or they've put their details down for a competition or something, and you've got access to those numbers. It's your job as a salesperson to put a good script together so that you can call them up and try and convert them, or at least put them into your pipeline as someone that you may talk to 3, 6, 9, 12 months down the track. There are plenty of things that you can do for prospecting. We've covered so far online, we've covered face-to-face, we've talked about cold calling lists that are available. Are there any more that you want to add?
No, I think it's just main thing is just, you know, use all the streams that you can, but be really good with documenting all the things, because if you document each call and the method of discussion with that person, and also document your next call objectives as to what you want to do next time.
That's perfect. And that just to tie this up and to wrap it up, because I know this is getting quite long. If you have a CRM, or if you're using an Excel spreadsheet like what we do, have a little note. So first name, last name, mobile number, email address, and then put notes next to it. So
top point.
That's it. So it could be something like called and left a voice message, or sent a text message, or sent an email address, or just write a note to yourself, call again on the 17th of July. Just do something to remind yourself of where you're at with that customer. If I send out a form, I wrote form sent, waiting for reply, and then as soon as I get that, I'll update it straight away. If you don't know where you are in terms of your customers, and you call them twice and ask for the same thing, it's not professional, man.
No, it's not professional, dude. Be professional and don't touch your customers.
Alright guys, that'll do for this. We're going to follow this video up. I'm going to follow it up by giving a full in-depth technical one-on-one sort of video about filling your pipeline, so look out for that. That will be coming soon. Thanks again. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Enjoy, guys.